Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So, I would like to thank Indo-Arab Cultural Department, Professor Rizwanur Rahman, sir, Professor Ayub, sir, and with the permission of chair, I would like to start my paper. Earlier I was very much reluctant to participate or not, but then I realized that Professor Ayub, sir, is my teacher, so he will take care of me if I commit some mistakes and some other mistakes. So, I would like to start my paper. My topic is Arabic and Arab in Indian cinema. Dear teachers and friends, because of globalization, we are exposed to many international cinema. Netflix, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and other online platforms are helping us to watch all kinds of films and series. Last year, we have watched Parasite, the Oscar-winning film from South Korea. The Urtugrul Ghazi has already broken all the record on YouTube. Nowadays, I am watching a series called Fauza. It is based on Palestine and Israeli conflict. So, the world cinema is now in our reach. We can easily watch it and see how they are portraying Muslims and Arabs, etc. We know that many films were shot in UAE and specifically in Dubai, like Tiger Zinda Hai, Airlift, Bang Bang, Kabir Khan films, Phantom was shot in Beirut, Hollywood film like Gladiator was shot in Morocco, Tom Cruise Mission Impossible was shot inside Burj Khalifa, and Martian and Bollywood film Krish franchise was shot in Petra of Jordan. And the list goes on and on and on. That means Arab world and the Middle East has a very conducive environment for filming a movie. So, in my research paper, I will be focusing on the use of Arabic language and how Indian cinema and Western media have portrayed Arabs and Muslims. Bollywood is largely an industry, and industries are run on profit and earning and money. Because of the rise of the Indian diaspora and expatriates in the Middle East and Arab world, and the PVR cinema and tickets are bought in dollars, dinar, dirham, and riyal. So, are directors going to please that audience because they are spending so much money? As Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Sharjah, and now Saudi is developing new avenues for tourists and business, and the costly places have important role in directing these kinds of films. In an interview, lyricist Javed Akhtar said, a young director, and I quote, a young director told me that I don't care if my film doesn't get released in a village and in small towns of India, but I want my film to do best overseas because money is there. Hollywood industry since the time of Oscar-winning Lawrence of Arabia, directed by David Lean, and now very recently, London Has Fallen, directed by Iranian filmmaker Babak Najafi, portrayed Arab in a very low light and completely stereotyped them. Like in a movie Ali's Wedding, directed by Jeffrey Walker, a Muslim lead character says, showing his eagerness to work in Hollywood, he says, I want to join Hollywood because they always need people like us to portray a terrorist, unquote. And or in a film, in a very famous film, The Dictator, a Muslim king asking his pregnant wife, so you are having a boy or an abortion? So as I told, the money, the audience, the luxury, the leisure is shifted towards Middle East. Earlier it was Switzerland. But Arab chef, the oil, the money helped the Middle East to become a hub for entertainment, enjoyment, and best wine, and film shooting, honeymoons packages, birthday parties, and sports centers. Arabic words in the song of Indian cinema. In Bollywood songs and qawwalis, some Arabic words are generally used. Habibi and Marhaba are very common. And Arabic words are usually used to make songs look like more soulful, spiritual, and Sufi, like Kun Fayakun in Imtiaz Ali's Rockstar, or La Fatah Illa Ali La Saif Illa Zulfiqar in a film called Qurban, directed by Karan Johar. Though the film Qurban is deeply Islamophobic and anti-Muslim, but Salim Merchant composed this film with full dedication. Lyrics goes like this: O Shah Marda, Sher Yazda, Ye Sama Kyun Hai, Maula Ali Maula. In another very famous song from the film Murder, directed by Mahesh Bhatt, this is so famous, this song is so famous that if you tell anyone that I know Arabic, so the first thing they will ask that what is the meaning of this song. So these kinds of songs have just few catchwords that sounds good, and the lyrics of the Arabic song is like this: Tamalli ma'ak walau hatta ba'id anni fi qalbi hawak. Tamalli ma'ak tamalli fabali wa bi qalbi wala binsak. Tamalli wahshani walau hatta bikaun wayyak. Tamalli habibi bi shaqtillak. Tamalli aini bi kandahalak. Walau hawili kullat kaun bikaun ya habibi muhtajjallak. Translation goes like this: I am always with you. Even if you are far from me, your love is in my heart. I am always with you. You are always on my mind and in my heart. I will never forgive you. I always miss you, even if I am with you. I always long for you, my darling. Also in Madhur Bhandarkar films called Fashion, a national award-winning film, there is a song that begins with Arabic catchwords. These words in local dialects and lehja, usually used with the help of some Arab singer, so sometimes it becomes tough to understand what it is. Arabic lyrics goes like this: Radi kura di kura wal hawa was sama wadi kura hutafat Allah duha was sama. I am unable to understand it because it's some local dialectic lehja and dialect. The translation is also available online. It says, I have been tantalized. I have been tantalizing for you in this air and atmosphere. You have tormented me with your promises. God is looking at this atmosphere. In another film that is completely shot in Dubai called Happy New Year, starring Shah Rukh Khan, one of the highest earning Bollywood film of all time, shot in Dubai in Atlantis Hotel and Palm Jumeirah. Because these places are so escapist fantasy, and there is a song called "Main Kamli Ho Gayi Yaar Naam Tera Padke," and the song starts with these simple Arabic lines: Habibi, Hayati, Ashiqi, Nasibi. We all aware of these simple line of Arabic. In another example I have in legendary filmmaker Mani Ratnam film called Guru, based on Dhirubhai Ambani, there is a very famous song called Maya Maya, written by Gulzar Sahab and music was by A.R. Rahman. And the story of this song is very interesting. A.R. Rahman was on Hajj in Mecca, and there he heard that someone shouting Moya Moya Moya. He found this word very catchy. So he followed the voice, and the man was saying, so he asked him, what is the meaning of this word Moya Moya? So he said, it's a local dialect. We say Moya Moya to the word Ma, which means water in Arabic. So he came back to India and asked Gulzar Sahab to use it as a repetitive word in a song. And he trained Egyptian singer Mariam Toller to sing this song. Portrait of Arab in Bollywood. In 2001, Christian author from Pittsburgh, Jack Shaheen, wrote a famous book called Real Bad Arab: How Hollywood Vilifies a People. And he studies 1000 famous movies of Hollywood, and he keenly observed the dialogue and wrote how are films and cinema othering Arabs and Palestinians. And Bollywood has always followed the footsteps of Hollywood. They also started doing this. And unfortunately, in Indian films as well, Arabic-speaking people are labeled as terrorists. The most recent example is the film Mirja that won national award, and the story is the plane hijacked, the real event that took place on an Indian airline while it stopped over in Pakistan. In the movie, terrorists are speaking Arabic and conversing in Arabic. In 2006, India's first web series named Sacred Game came out on Netflix. It was so colossal hit and so famous. It is based on the book by the same name written by Vikram Chandra and directed by Anurag Kashyap. In this film as well, terrorists have shown texting in Arabic and email exchange has been done in Arabic language. And then to maintain the balance, some Muslim patriotic man will read Arabic and translate it to the anti-terrorist squad. And one deadly villain has shown from Egypt as well. This is Islamophobia and Arabic phobia at its peak. In a TED talk, a girl from Middle East explained the stereotyping. She lived in America. She faces the common question about Middle East. Do you ride camels? Do all women wear burqa? Do you live in the middle of desert? Do all Arabs are pro-terrorism? And in her talk, she said that we are more than our government, and we are more than beard and burqa and blinias and fancy cars and camels. There is a famous English song which is mostly used in Hollywood films, and you can see the stereotyping in this song as well. It says, "Midnight at the oasis, send me your camel to the bed. I will be your belly dancer, prancer, you can be my shade." The image of Arabs are till now has been very bad and demeaning, and they are always shown in bad light as rich who are indulged in drugs and illegal and mafia activities. Films like Padmavat, Tanaji were the most anti-Muslim and Islamophobic films. Padmavat was already in controversy by Karni Sena for Rani Padmavat. But if you see closely, it was anti-Muslim film. The way the meat eater, the wife beater, the lusty, barbaric king, usurper. Because of this defection, Malaysia banned Padmavat from the
question of the speaker, I guess.
Sir, please conclude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Though some films shown Muslim in a very balanced way, one of is Kabir Khan, directed by Kabir Khan, Yash Raj, and produced by Yash Raj. The name of the movie is New York. It deals with 3 Muslim students, one of them wrongly tricked by FBI and tortured and kept in jail. When this film was shown at Cairo Film Festival, an Arab director came to Kabir Khan and hugged him and said that this is the first film of Bollywood and Hollywood which portrays Muslim as normal. That they wear jeans, they wear t-shirt, they are hanging out with friends and laughing. Otherwise, Muslims on screen, never normal. So, UAE is definitely changing the global image of Arab and Arabic language as well. Early on, Indian cinema's knowledge of Arabic was based on rumors and gossip, so the portrayal was very negative. But now, I can surely say it has drastically and gradually shifted and shifting towards positive, and that's all. Thank you very much for your patience here.
Thank you very much, Faisal Nazir. Very good presentation, and I hope there will be questions put on you. We will take these questions later on. The second speaker is you can give to all the 3 speakers.
I don't have a question, but I kind of a comment that I think if you allow.
Please.
I mean, when the seminar was organized, idea was to just to learn how to present the papers and how to write the papers. So many of the key thing I'm missing is structuring things and giving the context. Many of the scholars has structured very well, but the missing thing is, if you mention something, accumulation of information is not knowledge, unless until processing is through its context. If a text has been translated, maybe many texts has been translated. The importance of the text translation is only in the context. So I think the theoretical part, research part should be somehow missing. I think it should be taken into account.
Okay. Your point has been taken. The scholars are requested to look into this matter. Any other question? Actually,
I have a question for.
I, uh,
Dr. Hassan,
yeah. Actually, I don't have any question. Just as some uh, short comment regarding the first paper, in fact, that was presented by Faisal Nazir. It is very powerful and very good paper, in fact, and you explained the things very good and using your knowledge of Arabic as well. But the second part of your paper, where you were discussing about the presentations of Arab or representations of Arab by Hollywood and Bollywood movies, I think there I got a blurring point in this representation of Arabs and Islams. You mix the both somewhere. So this is the this one, when we talk about Islam is a very politically charged subject to this era, in fact, this time as well. So the point is that just try to separate or have this point in your mind. That paper. Thank you, guys. That's it.
Thank you very much. I will take care of it in final draft. Yeah.
very good suggestion by Dr. Hassan. Kamran Ansari?
Yes, sir. My question is again to Faisal, and first of all, I congratulate it. It was a very good presentation, and I got hooked to it, and it was really interesting listening to it. So basically, my question is that your paper was focusing primarily on the modern cinema, precisely post 2000 something, post 2000 films and music and everything. So yes, as the globalization has taken an upward trend since post 2000. So of course, the Islam and Arab thing and everything was becoming a part of the movies and everything. So the globalized world was seeing it. My question is, and excuse my ignorance if it is, then do we really see the portrayal of Arabs, not Islam, which was a very good point brought out by Dr. Hassan Raza. But is there anything that we see in the earlier movies, the classical movies, the portrayal of Arabs, and if at all, is it positive, negative? I mean, can we really compare that? Okay, before 2000, this was their stand, and after 2000, post globalization, this is what their stand is. I mean, can we draw any parallel? Is there any data on it, or we don't have any data? Just a question.
Okay, so if you see the older movie, the image of the Arabs as the man wearing a khal and having lots of money and fancy cars and oily rich sheikhs, already we have in Indian film. But nowadays it's a kind of changing. So if you see the older movie, like we have Hatim Tai, Alauddin, and lots of other movies of old time as well, you can see the stereotyping of them as well. So sometimes it's not so visible, it's not so vocal, it's not so clear. But if you can read the between the line, you can see the stereotyping, the old Surah Namtiya, as we say, that the stereotyping image of them has always been there. But now, as I said in my paper, with the rise of Dubai and Dubai becoming the famous center for all the kind of entertainment and filmmaking, it's a gradually change. Thank you very much.
So I have a point. I can.
Yes.
I have a point.
Very good.
I mean, that was the basically context. I mean, talking about the Bollywood and the films. So if you look at the films before the 90s, LPG, liberalizations before the film, you find that all scenes are not beyond India. All are from the area, from the rural areas. What happened in the 1990s is liberalization, globalization, that we generally call it the LPG, liberalization, globalization. So after the 1990s, the film cinema, the Indian cinema earlier is called, it was now called the Bollywood. The whole picturization is coming from the NRIs and America, Australia. So this shift is happening due to the particular context that happened in India. So, and if you, that is the one context. And the second context is the 9/11. if you look at the movies after the 9/11, you find that the Muslim has become very prevalent. So in 1990, 1990 to the 9/11, you find that all movies are focusing on the NRI, on the big cities. And after the 1990s, you find that the movies have shifted towards the terrorism, and the face of a terrorism has emerged, the Muslim as a beard and all these things. So, these all movies has to be processed into the context. Context tells more than the movie itself tells.
Okay, thank you very much for this.
You're completely right. I said it in my paper that, and I wrote it as well, that because of the 9/11 and Indian context, if you see in Bollywood, because of Pakistan and some tension with Pakistan, we have these kinds of image of Muslims, there. And I already mentioned Kabir Khan's New York as well.
Okay. Thank you, Faisal Nazir. Thank you everyone for your comments, suggestions and questions. I think we have enjoyed this session very much. All the three presentations were very good. Faisal Nazir has presented very well about the Arabic and Arabs in Indian cinema. And the valid questions and suggestions has been put to him. And I hope that he will incorporate all these suggestions to his paper when it is going to be published. No doubt that the films and Bollywood, these two things are very much interconnected, and they have a very good bond in between. As we have discussed in earlier sessions, Bollywood cinema is very popular. Even the Arabic words and the mixing of Arabic song with Hindi song, the mixing of music, the participation of Bollywood lyricists and the singers is happening on a large scale, and I hope that it is going to grow in coming years. So this is a topic to be studied in future, hopefully. Another presentation of Tanzila Jafar, who has presented on the Arab writings in the light of Indian folklore literature. It was a good presentation, no doubt. When we talk about the history of Indo-Arab cultural and civilizational linkages or exchanges, we find that we have enriched the Arab culture or Arab civilization by providing materials to them. So is the case with everybody has talked about Kalila Dinna. The source book of this Kalila Dinna is the Panchatantra of Vishnu Sharma. That is unfortunately not available with us in Sanskrit language. And this Kalila Dinna is still considered as the masterpiece of Arabic literature. So in the case with the Arabian Nights, all these things are happening. And in modern days also that we are exchanging our ideas, our literature through the translations as we are doing in our center and other places also. The third and last paper of Dr. Mehtab Alam was on Indo-Arab scientific and academic interactions. We are proud of our history that we have exchanged many things. In fact, we have strengthened or we have developed the Arab cultural civilization through the old treatises, all knowledge, all scientific heritage, and the Arabs have developed their civilization on the basis of these things. As we have discussed in the inaugural session that we have invented the zero, they have the numbers, and from there a very vibrant and comprehensive mathematical system has evolved from there. So in the case with medicine and other sciences of the region. With these few words, I must congratulate all the participants. They have presented very good papers, and I hope that they will submit the full paper with proper referencing all these things, and that will be published in a book form very shortly. Now it's 4 p.m. This is the time for the second session or fourth session to be started. This is from my side. I will hand over to Tadej Ahmed to start the fourth session with Dr. Hassan Raza. Thank you very much.
I'm very thankful that Dr. Asavanam has chaired the sessions and give his valuable suggestions and comments that will help you to understanding the India-Arab cultures, relations and interactions, and diversifying our understanding not through the only the tech but through the other forms of expression like the film, movie, and other texts to the develop the agile. So I'm very grateful that he encourages us to organize kind of a young scholar seminar where we can discuss our ideas and exchange our views and learn a lot. So now, so I'm very thankful to him. Now moving to the last session of the day, that is the fourth sessions, and Dr. Hassan Raza will be chairing the sessions, and he is a teacher in the India Arab Culture Centers. He has worked on the novels, and particularly Najib Mahfouz. Najib Mahfouz is one of the best novel Arab have produced. He got the Nobel Prize in 1980s something. So he has Hassan Raza has worked on that on his novels, and he also is very active in the center.